UK Parliament on Gaza, propaganda versus truth. In Parliament, truth and propaganda often sit side by side. This first clip is a textbook example of distraction and emotional spin, featuring Foreign Secretary David Lammy and Labour MP John Pearce. Listen carefully to what is said, and more importantly, what's not.
Well, I want to reassure him that I have made representations to Secretary of State Rubio about my concerns with the aid system, and I've done that alongside many European foreign ministers and members of the G7.
John Pearce.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I recently met with the mother of Oz Daniel, a 19-year-old who was murdered by Hamas on the 7th of October, and his dead body was dragged into Gaza. Oz loved to play music, he loved Guns N' Roses and was a brilliant guitar player. This is about a mum who just wants her dead son's body bringing home. A senior US official has said that Israel is bending over backwards to agree a ceasefire, and it is Hamas that is blocking it. Will the Foreign Secretary set out what pressure the government is applying to Hamas by Qatar and Egypt to agree a ceasefire and to bring the hostages home?
The honourable gentleman is right to the extent that the challenge faced on the ceasefire has been principally that Hamas do not want to pause, and the Israeli government has said that they do want to pause. There's also been discussion of what withdrawal we would see of the IDF within Israel, and of course changing the humanitarian aid system. That is why a ceasefire has remained stuck. But it is my hope that once the Knesset rises on the 22nd, we will move to a ceasefire.
We heard a story meant to humanise one victim, a name, a face, a song, but no mention of the thousands of Palestinians killed, no mention of children bombed in aid queues or the clinics turned to rubble. This is propaganda through omission, a classic tactic: make Israel the victim and Hamas the only aggressor. But not everyone in Parliament stayed silent. Now watch what happens when a Conservative MP, Kit Malthouse, breaks from the script. He calls out cowardice, complicity, and the Foreign Secretary's own words. This clip may be one of the most honest interventions Parliament has seen since this war began.
Well, can I remind my honourable friend of the action that this government have taken and how we have tried to lead in the international community on this issue. But can I also join her in condemning what we've seen in relation to civilians? Page 28 of the Practitioner's Handbook on Conflict, Hunger and International Humanitarian Law makes it clear that parties to armed conflict must take constant care in the conduct of military operations to spare the civilian population, civilians and civilian objects. Clearly, that is not happening.
Kit Malthouse.
Madam Deputy Speaker, like others in this House, I'm frankly astonished at the statement of the Foreign Secretary. At a time when we've got daily lynchings and expulsions on the West Bank, dozens being murdered as they beg for aid, I'm just beyond words, really, at his inaction and, frankly, complicity by inaction at what is going on. He himself said there's a massive prison camp being constructed in the south of Gaza. He knows that leading genocide scholars from across the world now are ringing the alarm bells, and yet he has the temerity to show up to this House and wave his chequebook as if it's going to salve his conscience. Can he not see that his inaction and, frankly, cowardice is making this country irrelevant? Can he also not see the personal risk to him, given our international obligations, that he may end up at The Hague because of his inaction? And finally, really frankly, an appeal to the Labour backbenchers. We can't get your leadership to change their minds. Only you can, if you organise and insist on change.
Before I bring in the Foreign Secretary, can I just remind members that we have got other business to proceed to tonight, so please keep questions and answers short. Foreign Secretary.
I understand the fury that the right honourable gentleman feels. But I have to tell him, that it demeans his argument when he personalises it in the way that he does.
That was not theatre. That was truth, raw, blunt, and needed. When an MP tells his own government it may be complicit in genocide, and no one denies it, we should all listen. 2 clips. One reveals silence and spin. The other, courage and clarity. This is Sheppard Lens Media, independent, unfiltered, human.